if we can't do something as close to perfect as possible, let's just not even do it.
Yeah.
If we can't make that gluten-free dessert taste like it's not gluten-free, let's just not even do it. Because what's the point? If we can't feel like we know how to make that the best, I don't want to serve something that I don't think has the potential to be the best.
Welcome to the Business Growth Masterclass, where business growth is made simple. I'm your host, Albert Gillespie.
And I'm your co-host, Kellen Ketchersid. Join us as we bring you stories from business leaders so you can learn from their wins, their losses, and everything in between.
Today's guests are the owners of Evie Mae's Barbecue, a regular on the top 10 in the Texas Monthly Barbecue all across the state of Texas. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. and Mrs. Arnis and Mallory Robbins.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us in today.
Yeah.
I am excited, being selfish for a second. I am like a hole in the wall mom and pop barbecue connoisseur. Like anywhere we go, I'm pulling up that Texas Monthly list and I'm like, okay, is anything nearby? And so having you guys in our backyard, I feel like I need like a scholarship named after me for how often I eat y'all's food.
I mean, that's very cool. And the fact that there are passionate consumers of our product is part of what makes it so cool.
Yeah. So how did you all get started? Because I mean, everybody in Lubbock and this area knows Evie Mae's, but tell us, how did you build this brand? What's the origin story here?
You want the long version or the full version?
Well, let's
They're both
start.
long.
Yeah, let's hear.
Yeah, we'll just jump in, and if we need to cut him off, we can.
Okay. No, it's kind of interesting. I grew up in Portales, New Mexico. Mallory's from Clovis, New Mexico. Both are about 90 miles west of here. Lubbock was the nearest big city when we were growing up. We spent a lot of time here. It was never any place that we would consider home, but I always thought of myself as more Texan than New Mexican growing up that close to the border. We're not necessarily close to Santa Fe or Albuquerque, the real New Mexican-y places. But I ended up at a landscape design school in Tucson in 2006. Mallory and I came home for 4th of July in 2007, and we kind of hit it off. We'd known each other our whole lives, but she ended up moving out there. We ended up getting married. We had Evie Mae in 2012. I was diagnosed with celiac disease in 2010.
Oh, wow.
I started a landscaping business out there. I was doing landscaping and diagnosed with celiac disease, went 100% gluten-free, and realized pretty quick that eating out was very difficult, was going to be very difficult, and cross-contamination at that point. It was just...
It was a different world at that point.
Yeah, I mean, there's
back
still a lot of
then.
confusion around gluten, but rewind 15 years, and I mean, people had no clue. Luckily, I've benefited from kind of the fad gluten-free dieters because there are a lot of things on the shelves now that are gluten-free because there was a market for it. But back then there just wasn't. So once I was diagnosed, got cross-contaminated a few times after getting unglutened. And we realized that we weren't going to be able to eat out a lot. And we started spending more money on higher quality groceries to cook at home. I had a propane grill, and I was very comfortable grilling steak and baking sweet potatoes. For some reason, that is what we lived on for.
That sounds pretty good.
And
a while.
it's so funny, but I mean, when you don't eat out and you have and you're like, okay, well, we're not going to eat out. We're just going to cook really good food at home.
Yeah.
And then it kind of got to the point where I was like, if this guy grills me one more steak, like it was just kind of, what else can we do? We've got to kind of experiment and learn to cook better things for ourselves at home.
See, and I get the need for variety, but I also am like, if you get used to some good, like quality food at home, you never want to go back to like Mickey D's or
No,
something.
it's true. It kind of, if you start doing that at home, yeah, you definitely limit how much you go out.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that need for variety is what we're about to hear about.
Well, what's funny is like the original gluten-free diet was very
Carnivore?
good. No, not carnivore, keto. Well, I mean,
Okay.
we did. I mean, that wasn't really a thing back then, but we were living a keto lifestyle because there weren't any gluten-free replacement starches at the grocery store.
So
I
what
mean,
is keto? I'm sorry.
Keto is high protein, low carb.
Okay, gotcha.
Just and like the low carb fad diets that people do. We were just kind of doing that
High fat,
anyways.
high protein.
High fat, yeah.
Okay.
Your body, like the concept behind it is
Get into
getting your body.
ketosis.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you now.
So we were living that lifestyle. Anyway, grilling on propane, ribeyes every night of the week. It was terrible. And
Tough life.
Expensive.
in that, I would go out, like I would light my propane grill and then I would let it preheat for like 45 minutes because you don't have to do that with a propane. Like that's the beauty of a propane grill. You don't have to preheat it. Like you just go turn it on and then you cook. But what I was realizing is I loved the ritual. I loved the act of cooking with fire, even though I was cooking with gas. Like I was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother-in-law, Mallory's brother, he had always cooked on charcoal, and he was the grill master. I mean, I considered him really kind of a catalyst and a teacher in the early days of where we are now. But I remember calling him one day. It was almost my birthday. And I went to Lowe's and I decided I wanted to get a Weber kettle.
Okay. Like those old school.
Yeah, just
charcoal
the kettle.
grill.
I think $129.99 or something. And so I bought one and I bought a bag of charcoal and I called him on my way home and I started asking him, how do you light charcoal? Because I remember being in high school and trying to grill with some buddies and it's hard to light charcoal. Like, how do you light charcoal? So he kind of walked me through that. And got some ribeyes and went home and cooked on charcoal for the first time. And that is when I already had kind of developed and recognized that I had a passion for cooking with fire. But once I was actually able to be a part of building the fire and poking the fire and relocating the fire to create different heat zones on this $120 grill in my backyard, that's when I started feeling like I was really starting to get involved in the cooking process. Now we're probably getting pretty ribeyed out and I was seriously grilling 5 nights a week. And I was also watching Barbecue Pitmasters on Travel Channel or Running to whatever it was. And I remember my mother-in-law, she talks about we were watching this and she always recalls one day where I said, one day I'm going to learn how to cook barbecue. Well, we knew we needed to stay on the gluten-free diet. We were still going to have to cook at home, but we were getting tired of grilling. And so I went to Craigslist and found an electric smoker. Intentionally, for whatever reason, I decided I want to be able to cook a rack of ribs, or I want to be able to cook a pork shoulder. Brisket was nowhere on my radar. Like, we were in Tucson. I didn't grow up with barbecue. I didn't grow up around craft barbecue. And so I didn't even realize at the time that brisket was kind of the pinnacle of Texas barbecue. I just wanted to be able to barbecue. And barbecue was meat covered in sauce, cooked with some aspect of smoke to make it taste smoky. And so I found an electric smoker on Craigslist and I started cooking on that. And after a couple of months, I found a better electric smoker on Craigslist and went and got that. And I cooked on that. And I remember we went on a little weekend getaway south of Tucson with some neighbors of ours. And I took a brisket and I took the electric smoker and I cooked a brisket by the book for X amount of hours per pounds at X temperature. And it was awful. And I convinced myself, you can't really cook a good brisket in an electric cabinet smoker like this, because you're never really going to be able to make it develop a bark or cook to the temperature that it needs to be cooked to. And those briskets in the electric smoker, you'd have to fold them over because it was, I mean,
it's really small.
Yeah, the smoker was small. And so back then there weren't all these YouTube videos. There were barbecue forums. There was one that I followed, and these guys would talk about, just take your brisket and kind of roll it up and cook it like that if you can't get it to fit, or you can cut it in half and put one half on top, one half on the bottom. I didn't know any
That's
better.
so crazy to think about, right?
Well, what's if I can jump in real quick, something I'm just noticing of like, you're not the guy who's going to be like, well, if it's edible, it's fine. Like you have developed a craft and something that you were saying earlier, like knowing the heat zones and like where even on your Weber grill, like your $120 Weber grill. It's like when we see an entrepreneur that is kind of an artist in a lot of ways and really knows their craft. I mean, like, sure, you can make money in business not having that skill, but the people who are super passionate about what they do that want to bring excellence to it, you can just tell that. You know, you talk to somebody like you and you can hear it in your voice, and the things that you think about every day are truly like, how can we make this amazing?
Better every day.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of what he just sort of got not upset. Well, it kind of was.
I know it
obsessed.
is. I have an obsessive personality where if I head down this rabbit hole and it starts making my brain fire in a way that I just want to keep going back, it's 1,000 miles an hour until
dog
I
and a
mean,
bone.
Yeah. So he had a notebook, and I mean, he would be like, okay, this is what the humidity was like this day when I cooked this brisket. That's what the temperature was. These are the seasonings I used. And it was like, he couldn't rest until.
It wasn't passive cooking.
Yeah.
It was very much, I enjoy this and I want to do the best I can at it. So yeah, I started logging temperatures, times, weights of meats, keeping receipts for meats. Really try, because you
like,
can't.
How much money are we spending on this little hobby?
One thing in any of our barbecue classes, I tell people, if you're not taking notes of your cooks, you're never going to improve, because you're not going to know what you did any different this time than you did last time. And then by something different, I don't mean that you seasoned it with a completely different rub. I mean, you did something inadvertently that you don't even know you did.
Yeah.
And so unless you're tracking and keeping notes of how you did it, you're never going to know what it was that either hurt or helped that cook or that brisket or that steak or whatever it was.
So you're being kind of a scientist and an artist. And I think that combination is really rare. I've met some artistic types in business that, that's like, they're really good at what they do, but they often are not the type to write it down. They're not the person who can explain it to someone else. They just kind of know. Mm-hmm. And so that's really unique about what you're describing too.
It reminds me of my wife is a baker, and like people that as a hobby, not as a profession, but people that like to cook, they kind of, it's by feel, and you're putting stuff together and you kind of know. And then when you're baking, it's like chemistry.
Yep. It's actual science. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
you can't wing it.
Yes. And she's like, even where she buys butter from and how it was made, and does it sit on the countertop, or does it anyway?
Yeah. You can't build a scalable business like that though.
Right. And so yeah, that's where I'm going with this is like, this is like this science, it's art, but it's also like this very specific recipe that I imagine that's pretty difficult to scale.
Absolutely. But to that, barbecue in general attracts a lot of interesting people, because somebody cooks barbecue for a neighborhood gathering or a family party, and all they hear is, "That was so good. You ever thought about opening a restaurant? You could sell that. I bet you could sell that. You should get a food trailer." And I've always been my most critical critic from the very beginning. Because like you said earlier, I wasn't satisfied with just having something to eat. I wanted it to be good. I wanted it to be something I wanted to do again. And so in the early days, the failures are what kept challenging me to try to do it again.
That bad electric smoker. Yeah. So can just keep picking up the story from there.
So, had the electric smoker. And once I really realized, hey, I'm never going to be able to cook a perfect brisket on an electric smoker, I wanted to get into live fire smoking. There weren't any large offset smokers available out there. That wasn't anything that anybody in Southern Arizona was familiar with. And I remember Mallory's dad was out, and at our wedding, I think I had requested prime rib. I used to love prime rib until I turned it into work, and now I don't eat prime rib anymore. But he had he had some buddies that he worked at Cargill, the meat packer plant. That he's a professional meat packer industry person, and they came and cooked prime rib on site for our wedding reception, and that was the first real up close encounter that I had with that kind of cooking process, and seeing like real firewood pieces, like sized splits that people were cooking with. And so he had come out to visit in Tucson, and I was a few months into my electric barbecue journey. And I remember telling him, I think I'm going to build a big smoker like those guys had at our wedding. And he was like, what would you do with that? And I was just like, I don't know, but I need a project. I always have to have a project. I always have to have something.
Well, and I'm interrupting, but he grew up on a farm in eastern New Mexico. He can weld, he can build. He was always having to fix stuff with his dad out in the field. And so he is a welder, had a welder in Arizona with us. We owned a landscaping company. He was always having to fix equipment. So anyways, he's always tinkering, building, playing. So
I go to Craigslist. For you kids out there, that's what we had before Marketplace. Craigslist and Thrifty Nickel.
There you go.
But I found a propane tank on Craigslist in Wilcox, which was a couple hours away. Went down and picked it up and brought it to the house. And we had a neighbor that was from Georgia, living out there, and he was just southern redneck, good dude. And he brought his 4-wheeler over, and we chained the tank to the 4-wheeler and drug it off the trailer in our backyard. And I went to work building this smoker in our side yard. And I had never really looked into smoker design. I got online and came across a cross-section diagram of a reverse flow smoker. And I thought that it looked like a more operator-friendly design than a conventional offset. And there's more to that, but basically conventional offset, you've got a firebox, you've got your cook chamber, and then you've got an exhaust flue, and those are all three in line. You've got an exhaust flue on one side and a firebox on the other. With a reverse flow, you've got a firebox. Directly above it, you've got an exhaust flue, but separating the two is a steel plate that runs all the way to the opposite side of the cook chamber, so that heat and convection has to go underneath the plate and then come back and before it exits the cooker. So that steel plate that separated the fire from the cook chamber made me feel like that's going to be easier for me to learn on. A little less critical as far as cooking with live fire, because I was having a really hard time wrapping my head around how do people maintain like a constant temperature with live fire. Again, we talk about lighting charcoal, but think about how hard it was when you were a kid, like on a camping trip, or you were like trying to build a log fire and just
keep it consistent.
Yeah, sometimes maybe it would light, sometimes it wouldn't. Anyway, so I followed kind of loose directions on this reverse flow design and built my first smoker in the backyard. And I wanted it to be mobile, and I found on Craigslist like a super cheap boat trailer, and went and got it and cut it down, and I built this smoker. And somewhere in that process, I had a high school buddy, a really, really good friend, and he was going to have a bachelor weekend in Albuquerque. And I kind of set that as the target completion date for this smoker. And I was going to take it to Albuquerque. It was just going to be a bunch of high school buddies, and we were going to go buy a whole hog and just some other meats, and did that. Like for 24 hours, we were just going to barbecue.
Smoke it. Yeah.
So went to Albuquerque.
And you've never used this thing at this point.
I had the first time I ever fired up this big cooker, I cooked 2 chickens. And it was a 750 gallon smoker. So it wasn't like little bitty, like it was a good sized cooker. And I'd practiced with it a couple other times. I think I'd cooked for the neighborhood, but I was nowhere close to what I would consider proficient or competent or confident.
You were just trying.
I was just having fun with it.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything about it was special, but every time I cooked on it, I was still trying to get better. I was
his like group of friends. I'm like imagining that meme. It's like every male when they turn 30 years old either decides they want to run a marathon, they want to get really obsessed with World War II, or they want to learn to
Or
smoke.
they start
Yeah.
smoking meat. That's right. That's
Yep.
right.
Okay,
And
so
I-
you're
and
that,
I didn't
you're that
even-
friend.
Yes.
But it wasn't even. I think what's interesting about where I came from is this wasn't a part of my upbringing. You talked about the list earlier. I would say the majority of the barbecue folks on the Texas Monthly Barbecue list, they grew up kind of immersed in that culture. If not directly, they lived somewhere that had a
They got exposure.
stronger traditional culture. I mean, you get down into the hill country or Central Texas, every church, every community center has a big barbecue pit
Mhm.
there, and
Wow.
they're using it for all kinds of functions.
My wife's family is from Eastern New Mexico, and it surprised me. Like, they're farm and ranchers. I'm like, why is like barbecue not on every corner? But it's not.
It's just not a
It's
thing.
just not
Yeah.
a thing. Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, keep going.
So go to Albuquerque, and we just have the best time. These are some high school friends that I don't know. When I became older, I've got friends, that I've made along the years, but this core group of high school buddies, we still keep in touch. They're still some of the people that like I really refer to my friends. And we just had the best time cooking that whole hog, a couple of briskets, some chicken. This was February, March-ish of 2014. And I remember we're set up and
Earlier than that.
that was 2014.
Okay.
And he lived kind of in the foothills of Edgewood, which is just east of Albuquerque. So in one day, we get up, we're in short sleeve shirts, jeans, mid-afternoon, this freak snowstorm like comes over the mountain. It snows for an hour, and then that blows out, and then the sun comes out again. And that was kind of, it was kind of like this is barbecue. Like, you're dealing with all kinds of variables that you have no idea what you're getting into when you start any cook. But you just got to stick with it. We weren't going to not cook that pig just because it was snowing outside. But that in hindsight, that all makes that memory just so much sweeter.
Yeah.
Like, what are the odds?
Mhm.
We're cooking a whole pig. It's snowing. Now the sun's out, hanging out with a bunch of high school buddies. I remember driving home from Albuquerque back to Tucson and just thinking, I want to do that. Like, barbecue is what I want to do.
You called me.
Yeah, I called you. I called my
he
mom.
said it out loud. Like, he was
Called
like,
everybody important in my life.
Like, I had the best time. And I'm like, well, yeah, you were drinking with a bunch of your high school buddies, cooking a pig, like in the mountains. Of course you had a good time. But he's like, no, like,
I want to do this.
I like really loved that. And I'm like, cool. I'm at home with the baby, like get home with your cute little smoker and we'll talk about it. Like, I mean, seriously, like, I just didn't really have
I have a dangerous
I
personality.
didn't understand
Yeah.
how serious he really was. Anyways.
So I can't. That was probably a Sunday that I was driving home, so I couldn't call the county or anybody to try to find out what I needed to do to start selling barbecue. So that would have had to wait till like Monday.
Yeah, that was
But,
what my question was. Like, you're like, okay, I want to do this, but did you have a plan at that point, or are you just like,
I
just
formulating.
need to do this, but I don't know how yet?
So on that drive home, it was probably 6 hours or so. The whole time I'm thinking, okay, how do I do that again? How can I justify spending that amount of time and that amount of money cooking barbecue? Because I didn't want to sell barbecue. I didn't want to eat barbecue. I wanted to cook barbecue. So get back to Tucson, start doing research, mobile food vending requirements, legalities, and end up on Craigslist finding a home built. It was a food trailer, but it was, the difference between, like, you wouldn't call a carny wagon at the fair selling a cheeseburger like a food trailer. You would call that like cheeseburger carny wagon. This was a carny wagon, and
Okay.
it had been built in Mexico, and they had been selling elotes, street corn, out of it. So
I'll have
it
to
was
send y'all pictures.
it was painted like green background, and then like a hand painted huge corn cob, and it just said like elotes, and it had all the way around the top, like the bottom 4 feet were sheet metal and the top 4 feet were plexiglass windows So
Okay.
it was like see through, see everything, see everywhere. But the reason that I was attracted to it is it was cheap and it had already been licensed with Pima County. So it was much easier to file a change of name on an existing licensed mobile food vending unit than to get something new inspected and start from scratch. And so I bought that food trailer for $2,500.
Nice.
That's all I had.
That was all of it.
And I didn't tell, like, I told Mallory I was going to look at one, and I called her on my way home, and I was like, hey, I just bought this food trailer.
Husband
And-
move.
No, like the ultimate husband move with like our last $2,000.
And go ahead.
I like this origin story because so many entrepreneurs that we talk to, they're like, or entrepreneurs, they're like, I need $100,000 and I need, to be able to pay myself a salary when we get started, and we're going to do this and that. And like you've said Craigslist 8 times in this story, and this is just like, you hear like the Steve Jobs, the Bill Gates on the card table in the living room. Like, this is the card table. This is in the garage, but this is Craigslist, and you're in the driveway.
That's exactly.
Looking real classy with your green elotes
Yeah.
food truck.
Well, and on top of that, what you said earlier, you said, I don't want to eat barbecue. I don't want to
sell it.
I don't want to sell barbecue. I just want to cook it. And it's like, that's the mark of somebody who really should be doing this in my mind. And the other thing that I just wanted to hone in on real quick, who was it that was kind of the naysayer? Like, why are you doing this? Like,
Everybody.
It's like,
Else in my life.
His
any
wife.
business owner can relate to that when they're starting out, and people don't think of you as this person yet. It's like, I don't think that makes sense. You're always going to have those haters, and you have to be the kind of person who's like, no, I know what I'm going for here, and this is my passion. And clearly you did that. So that's really cool.
So my thought process there was, I can buy this trailer for $2,500. If it doesn't work out, I should be able to sell it for at least that. That's all.
Yeah.
That's my only out ever is, if this doesn't work, am I going to be able to sell this and at least, recoup the majority of what I have in it? But it was in rough shape. When I got that trailer, it was, how soon can I start selling out of this? It wasn't like, I'm going to take this because it's a good deal, and then we'll wait and see, and I'll go talk to 50 people and get their advice and opinion, but we'll have the trailer. It was, I'm going to get this inspected next week, and I'm going to start selling barbecue the day after that.
Well, we had to start generating.
Yeah. It was your last $2,000.
Right. And if he's going to get better at this and he wants to cook, I essentially was like, okay, cool. But we got to sell it if you're going to be able to go to Sam's to buy another brisket.
We're
right?
not joking about the last $2,000, but we were operating the landscaping business. It was, we were very maintenance heavy, HOA type maintenance contracts, which were great. And we were doing some construction work too. We had, I think, 8 or 10 employees, 3 trucks on the road every day. Like
Okay,
we were building
So
a
we
real,
were paying our bills.
we were building this real business, but we had also started that from scratch. And so at that point we were 3.5 years in, and you're still, dude, I'm like, go big all the time, never go home. And so in every business that I've ever started, I'm constantly putting everything back into it. So it's not like we didn't have a big nest egg or war chest or anything to fall back on. That $2,000 that's what we had in the bank that day, and I spent it on that trailer. Get that trailer, go to Home Depot, because I decided pretty quick, I'm going to go buy some boards, some 1-buys to cover this paint job, because that's going to be easier and it's going to look cooler than if we try to repaint it. So I went and got like, I think it was like 1x8s and 1x2s, and then did that thing where like you leave a gap between the two and put the 1x2 on top, and it kind of looks like an old barn or chicken coop. And so we put that veneer on the trailer, the bottom 4 feet. And then I built this 2x4 awning that would flip up with a corrugated tin roof. And then it had these 2 kickstands that would come down and hold it up. So you walk up to the trailer, and it's like you're walking up to this like an old shed or like a little general store on the side of the road. And then we had this sweet little Coke box that's still in the restaurant, an antique Coke cooler. And we took it up there and put it out in front of the trailer. But what happened, I went to Albuquerque. I'm going to say in February, late February, early March, I took the smoker to Phoenix for Easter of 2014 and cooked a whole hog with one of my buddies. They were having a big Easter gathering. And then the Thursday following Easter Sunday, we were going to open up on the side of the road for the first time in Tucson. I think that was April 16th, maybe 2014. And
So Evie was a baby.
Yeah.
He has been gluten-free now for a couple of years. I have been cooking and baking and trying to figure out good substitutes for cornbread, pie crust, because if we were going to do this thing, we had no gluten in our house. There's a chance our child could have celiac disease someday. So I have gone gluten-free. So I have been baking and failing and learning and bouncing ideas off of his mom, who also has celiac disease. And we kind of, getting family recipes.
for anybody wondering, if celiac disease is something that it's not common for it to be diagnosed so late in life.
Right.
Because the telltale sign of celiac disease is failure to thrive, because your body is not able to take advantage or
absorb
nutrients. My mom had been diagnosed. So when my mom was diagnosed and started learning about it, there was a 50% chance that me and my sisters also had the genetic ability to develop it. And so I went in, I tested positive, my two sisters tested negative. So
okay,
there you go.
Wow.
I like so much of your story is like necessity and urgency. Like it was like becoming gluten-free was like a necessity. Like they had to do that. It's the last $2,500. Like there's urgency. Like you need to, start the fires and let's start cooking some stuff. And that's a lot of people, we get this like analysis paralysis and you keep waiting, you keep thinking you need to have it exactly right. And that's so many entrepreneur stories there's a sense of urgency and like we're going to go, like we're going to make it now. It's not going to be perfect, but we're going to pull the trigger and then we'll aim later.
Sometimes you just got to buy the elotes truck and go for it.
That's right.
Sometimes you got to get in so deep that you can't turn back.
Yeah.
Burn the boats.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
So we start selling barbecue on the side of the road 1 day a week from April of 14 until the end of the summer of 14. And in that time, what I would do my landscaping thing, manage job sites, manage crews, bid jobs. I would go up. We started on Thursdays, and then we quickly moved to Friday. So I would go work all week. Thursday night, I would go up to the trailer, prep all the food, and start cooking probably 10 or 11 o'clock at night, cook through the night.
Wow.
And then Mallory and Evie would come up.
I would make sides at home.
Our neighbor's mom made potato salad, and she would deliver that to the trailer every Friday morning.
Yep. She did that. I baked pies and the other stuff. We mixed slaw. We had very basic sides. And then Evie and I would go buy, she was a year old. We would go to the grocery store that was like a 30-minute drive. We lived out in the middle of nowhere, and would buy a big bundle of balloons to tie on the side of the road so that people could see that we were there
to get attention.
in the carny wagon.
That was your marketing. It was the big balloons.
And when we say that this was I'll send you guys pictures so you can see it, but there was only room for Arnis in the trailer. So Evie and I in Arizona are outside of the trailer. I have a little point of sale device. Evie has some toys and a stroller, and it's hot and there's ants and we did that once a week.
Yeah. Mallory and Evie would come up from about 10:30. We would open it.
I would just help him through the lunch rush.
And then she would leave. And then I would do everything myself through the afternoon. And then if it got busy, they would come back and help with the dinner time. And then I'd pack up, I'd kind of secure everything, clean up, go home Friday night. And I would wake up on Saturday morning, and instead of being like, man, that sucked. That was the longest 36 hours ever. I'd be like, I can't wait to do that again.
Wow.
I can't wait to do that again. And I know how to do it better. I learned something during yesterday's cook, and I know how to do that next week. One thing, back then I had a BlackBerry, and so I didn't take pictures or videos. And I
know, it
regret,
stinks.
I mean, the technology wasn't just there. But
Well, and back then you didn't just take pictures of every little thing in your
That's
life like
true.
you do
Exactly.
now. And I
Weird.
wish we had more pictures from that time.
Because the first day we set up, I wanted to cut on like a real butcher block. And I remember I had been to Home Depot and they had like workbench butcher block tops.
Mhm.
I didn't know it at the time. Those are not like food safe. That was like a veneer laminated top. That's what I had. That's what I bought to cut
Yeah.
meat in the trailer.
Yes.
And I stacked up paper towel boxes to put that cutting block on. So I
Yeah.
I have a cardboard table with a non-food rated butcher block top, and I am in there just like slinging meat around. That was like probably the first 2 to 3 weeks until then. After that, it was okay. What can I do to make that a little bit easier? So
Yeah.
then I'm looking for equipment and other stuff, and just kind of growing with it. We get midway through that summer. Mallory and I had bought our first house in life out there in Tucson in 2007. It was 2014. We got a little girl, and we wanted to upgrade. Like we wanted to buy another house, a little bit bigger house, and really close to where we live. But like we wanted to get out, have a better view of the mountains and stuff. And so we put our house on the market, and when it sold, I remember when it went under contract, and the whole time we had just kind of been moving on with this barbecue thing. And I remember thinking, if we sell our house, there's really, I mean, we've got this business here, but this business can be sold, and we could move, and we wouldn't have to be here because our lives had changed significantly since we relocated to Tucson, which is 560 miles away from where I grew up. And now we've got this little person that we're raising, and we don't have a lot of friends. We don't have any family. And so
It kind of, the house going under contract kind of opened our eyes to the fact that we weren't
Tied down.
We weren't tied down to
Yeah.
Tucson. While starting that barbecue
especially
business,
if we were going to pursue a
right.
new
So the
career.
beauty of Tucson and starting our barbecue business was sort of the low pressure from the consumer, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's not,
it's
your
not-
family judging you.
Well, it's not
Well,
our family or our friends or Texans.
Yeah. Who are very judgy
who
about
are
barbecue, right?
very serious about it. So we kind of got this like practice round, you know.
Very cool.
And we kind of thought, okay, what can we do? So
we did talk to our parents, kind of kick this whole thing around. My parents had kind of come around. My mom never saw the trailer in Tucson. My dad came out at one point and he saw it in action and had food. I had actually, before we made the decision to move, we had come to visit family on a trip, and I ordered a new trailer because it was becoming apparent that this was a viable little venture in Arizona, and I needed a bigger trailer. I needed something that had just like a better workflow,
Mhm.
easier to move around, so that we could do more mobile stuff. So I ordered a trailer while we were in Lubbock, and I think within like a month of that happening is when we kind of realized, why are we going to do this here? Why don't we move and be closer to home and family and do barbecue in Texas? So I started doing research on the barbecue scene in Lubbock. The Shack had been open about a year.
Okay.
Whenever I at that point, whenever I really started to see what was going on here. And I just thought, man, like Lubbock is kind of growing at a fast rate. Barbecue in Texas as a whole is growing at an incredible rate. Lubbock seems like a solid of a market as anywhere.
also the personal side of that, our family is all around here. We could be closer to home, have help with Evelyn, and she could grow up with her grandparents and not just visit them twice a year. Cousins, all that stuff. So it just kind of started looking like a better and better option.
Yep. One of the property management companies that we did a lot of work with was able to hook us up with another company that they did a lot of work with, and they absorbed our contracts and our employees and our equipment. And from September of 14 to December of 14, we went from here we are in Arizona, operating a landscaping business to now we've sold our business. We are getting into barbecue full time in Lubbock, Texas.
That's a big change.
Yeah.
It was huge.
I had a contractual obligation to stay and work with that new company for X amount of time. Mallory and Evie moved in with my parents, and I lived in a fifth wheel that we owned in Arizona for about a month and a half, and then moved in December of 14, and the trailer had been completed. It was in Portales, and I went to Portales for 3 or 4 weeks to build out this trailer because it was just like an empty
It
shell.
was a shell, yeah.
You
had to build the smoker.
Yeah, and it had a hand wash sink, 3-basin sink, and that was it. And I had ordered like refrigeration, warmers, and I needed to build a smoker for it. I built a smoker, I put it on this trailer, and the trailer almost broke in half. And I couldn't, like, there's no way that I could get it to Lubbock. So then I had to add another axle to the trailer because it was a tandem axle. So then I had to order a whole nother axle, like rebuild the entire frame of this trailer because I literally couldn't move it. And so I had to deal with all that. And then I get it like complete and ready to move. And this is probably the dumbest part of the whole story. I call the city of Lubbock and I'm like, hey, what licensing do I need to have for me to open up this mobile barbecue trailer in Lubbock? And they were like, well, we don't allow mobile food vending units unless you're set up in industrial zones or unless it's some kind of organized like food vending event, like food truck roundup or something.
Oh no.
So this was back before they changed that rule.
Yeah.
So we kind of panicked. Like,
you're all in on this thing. We
moved here. We literally moved here, have this trailer built. We need to start cooking and selling barbecue like tomorrow because we're out of money.
Because now we don't have any income.
Yeah.
And they say we can't. So we're like, okay.
Wolfearth.
Yeah.
So we
and they were like, hey, we're trying to get this changed.
It's old school. We get it. It's kind of an antiquated, like, and it'll change.
It'll probably be 6 months or so.
We're like, we don't have 6 months.
So then I had heard of Wolfearth, but I couldn't tell you what defined Wolfearth versus Lubbock.
Yeah, I graduated from Wolftown, so I'm going to defend all the people out there. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I call the city of Wolfearth and I said, hey, my wife and I want to start up a barbecue trailer. And what would we need to have in order to operate that within the Wolfearth city limits? And they were like, look, you can do anything you want here. As long as you have all of your state licensing that you need, you can park anywhere that a property owner is fine with you parking.
Hallelujah.
And so much of this story, it reminds me of like just the getting started of like, it's such a grind.
Yeah.
And this isn't like a 1-year journey. This is several years of, in hindsight now, those are like treasured memories. In the moment, it's hard.
Yeah. In the moment, you're like, how do I get past this? Right.
Yeah.
Like, what's the next step?
How do I pay for my life and my kid and all of that?
But I wasn't worried about that. I felt so, I don't want this to come across as egotistical because I would never tell somebody that my food was the best barbecue that they're ever going to have. That's not who I am. That's not what I care about. But I had a confidence in the product and I had a confidence in the way that I thought we would be able to operate a business that I didn't think that it would be possible for us to fail.
Yeah. That's good.
And so back to Wolfearth, I start looking around on Craigslist for. I needed
the theme of the show.
I needed a storage unit because we have this big trailer, and I want to be able to park it inside because we're going to be pulling that thing all over the place. Different days of the week, we're going to be here, we're going to be there, we're going to be going to the park and the fair, and we're going to do caterings but I needed a place to park it, so I found the storage unit, which was the original place that we parked the trailer. Went and met the owner of the storage facility, told him what we were going to do. And I remember him just being like, oh, okay, cool. It's a barbecue trailer. All right, whatever. But that unit just happened to have kind of a shop space in the back that was big enough for the trailer. And then it had this separated climate controlled almost storefront space in the front with a restroom. And at the time, we did not intend on having the trailer parked there and being able to utilize that space, but
It worked
the
out.
price was right and it worked out. So we are now stuck in Wolford. This was January, February of 2015. It snowed a lot. It snowed like every 7 days for a month.
In
Big snows.
2015.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
year it was like snowstorm.
Goliath.
Yeah.
It was awful, and I just remember crying like, "Why did we move here? Like we were in Arizona, everything was fine."
So I think the first day that we were going to set up, we weren't necessarily going to set up in front of the storage unit, but for whatever reason, we had shore power there. We didn't have a big generator, but we could plug in there. We had water there. It was just convenient. So I think we decided that let's just kind of try this out right here, right off of Highway 62. And so that's what we did. And we got comfortable there because it was easy and we could just be plugged in and we could keep a bunch of stuff in the storage in the back and we could have like cold storage on site and we didn't have to pull the trailer all over town. But people weren't dining in at that point. One thing, iced tea was really important to me. I wanted to make sure that we had real fresh brewed iced tea. So I had set up a tea brewer from our food purveyor inside that storage area because that if we were going to serve barbecue to Texans, we were also going to serve them real fresh
Good
iced tea.
Yeah.
And so that's what we were doing inside the storage unit is we had our tea brewer.
He cares about every little detail, and
That's
that's
true.
Well, that's what makes it good. You know, that's why, you know.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking of like other trades, other entrepreneurs that like that's kind of the prototypical, you know, maybe you're a plumber and you've worked for a bigger contractor and you're really good. Like you really care about what you're doing. And then you're like, well, I could do this on my own. But like making that transition from like craftsman to business owner, business leader is like,
Yeah.
that's the hardest step.
Well, I love the obsession part of all this. Like, I love the, you know, you're thinking about things that you're thinking about the experience that people are having. And, you know, I would have never thought about, you know, the tea being a big part of it. But when you say it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, you know?
So I am not hypercritical of places that we go and eat. I can enjoy almost anything and I will make do, but I will make a mental note or I will say, wow, I can't believe that a place like that
Wouldn't think of this. Yeah.
Whether it be a dirty bathroom or the tea not being good. Like,
Yeah.
And so to me, if we can't do something as close to perfect as possible, let's just not even do it.
Yeah.
If we can't make that gluten-free dessert taste like it's not gluten-free, let's just not even do it. Because what's the point? If we can't feel like we know how to make that the best, I don't want to serve something that I don't think has the potential to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reason to do it. So that is at the very core foundation of our business. If we don't think we can do it the best, we're just not going to do it because it's easier. It's easier to just not do it than to try to convince people that something you're giving them that you're not confident with is the best. So that's been the foundation of almost everything on our menu. We've had items. We used to serve smoked beans. People loved them and they were good. They were a baked bean and we actually put them in the smoker and we put them underneath the beef ribs and they caught all of those delicious fat renderings and they didn't scale well and they were high maintenance and they required a lot of prep work. And it got to the point where it was like, guys, these are gross. Like this is not what we started with. This is not what these people love. And if we can't do it on the scale that we need to now, let's just take them off the menu. And people hated it. I mean, people still hate it.
yeah, they still ask for them.
And it's like, we're not going to serve that unless we can figure out a way to do it right.
Yeah, I have a question that has been eating at me, and this is such a common thing. But you were this like craftsman, right? And now you guys have built to a completely different scale with a full functioning restaurant here in Lubbock and one in Florida, and I'm sure we'll get to that. But how do you build a team that cares about the end result like you care about? And you're the type of guy that, like, if it's not right, like, you can't deal with that. You can't live with that. And so how do you build a team that can do that?
Presence and leading by example.
I was gonna say, I feel like Arnis especially, but we both try to do this in every area of the restaurant. We will do every single job. I'm not going to cook the
Which
meat,
I've seen y'all do that.
Yeah, like, I am not going to ask somebody on our team to clean the bathrooms unless I've cleaned the bathrooms. Like, I think making sure that you do all the things and just set the example and lead from the front. I think that's the most important.
And when an employee is doing everything they can to perform the best that they can, if they make a mistake and they know that it's okay, we're just not going to serve that cornbread.
Yeah.
We're going to throw it in the trash, and we're not going to chew you out. You're not going to get written up. The worst thing we could do is pretend like you didn't make a mistake and try to serve that, because now we've affected 100 customers that are going to go home and think, I was off today. Like, instead of coming once a week, maybe we'll go somewhere else next week. I mean, it's little things like that where we had to build a team. I'm not even going to say that we had to build a team. I feel like the passion was so strong that it was felt. We didn't have to teach our people how to care about our product. They looked at us. They looked at the amount of time that we spent there. We were there all the time. We were there more than anybody else. I trimmed every brisket. I seasoned every brisket. I served every brisket for the first 2 years. And I wasn't going to let anybody outwork me. I was not looking for somebody to replace me. I was not thinking, man, I'm tired. I want to hire somebody else to do this so I can, be at home. No, I was doing what I set out to do. I was pursuing my dream.
Yeah.
And the harder it got and the busier it got, the more rewarding it became to be. I had the privilege to do it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a burden. It was a privilege.
I also think him having that mindset and that work ethic. I mean, obviously, I was there all day, every day, and witnessed it and kind of was sucked into it. But then it also attracted our employees that we have now. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like, it's like we would hire 5 people, maybe 2 of those people worked out, but it's like, it's because they felt the energy. They saw the customer service. They saw the attention to detail. They saw how much we cared. And they were like, oh yeah, I'm in.
There's so much to that. A lot of business owners are always like, how do I get A players on my team or get great people? And I think just being your most authentic truth teller self will put out to other people who you are and it attracts the right kind of people to you. But if you're just, if you're not really, trying to be someone who brings excellence to what your work looks like every day, and you're not really being like authentic, or you're half-hearted, and like don't be surprised when you end up with employees that are checked out or not really in it either. And so that's a great takeaway just for anybody who's listening. One thing I was thinking about a minute ago, it was the story you guys were telling before we started recording, because all the context of this origin story is amazing. And then for people listening, you guys were just had Texas Monthly come out, right? And featuring you guys in their magazine. Is this the first time they've done that?
This is for us to be on the list.
Yeah.
So we've been on it since the first time was 2017.
It comes out every 4
years. So 17, 21, and now 25. So the last 3 lists we have been in.
Okay. I thought you guys had been in it before.
Yeah.
And it's just funny to hear, like in those days, like when you're in the elotes truck, like anything like even close to that would have been beyond what you could dream of.
In the elotes truck, in the Wolfworth trailer for the first long time. I mean, we prayed for opportunities to do that, to be recognized, to have anything, newspaper, news, any kind of publication, any kind of social media page, to recognize that we were doing something well. And before the mics came on, I was telling you that just yesterday, because we had Tuesday of this week, we had an offsite catering in Childress that was 350 people. We had a Lubbock delivery for 200 people, and then we had just a good busy Tuesday at the restaurant. And we also happened to have a couple of people call in, and that was a day that was going to take everything lining up perfect for us to pull off. And things did not line out perfect, and we still got it done. But that day on Tuesday, I was like, I'm driving to Childress. Like I'm driving to Childress on a Tuesday. We're struggling with the beginning of the school year, like on a personal level with Evie right now. And I'm driving to Childress to serve barbecue. And then on the drive back, I was like, you shut your mouth. Like you just had the opportunity. You just had the privilege to drive to Childress and feed 350 people.
It's a good perspective.
I would have killed for a 350 person catering 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This Texas Monthly thing, we had the opportunity to do what they were calling a Texas Monthly barbecue Q course. And it was a 2-day event where they came with a full audio video crew and did kind of like a cooking show style process of me doing some meat preparation and cook, and Mallory doing a dessert. And then they're going to put that out in conjunction with, I think, some print stuff, kind of highlighting the event itself that was on Saturday. So Friday, we're having to do all this video work. And then Saturday, we're having our busy barbecue day. And then we're rolling straight into kind of a small, intimate prime rib dinner for 50, coupled with a barbecue class. And Saturday, I'm like, man, we shouldn't have committed to this. Like this is just, I would rather be at home. I would rather be anywhere than doing this. Woke up on Sunday and it was like, again, like do not say that. Do not wish that, because it could all be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that there are people out there. This barbecue list just came out in May of this year. I know there are people that woke up the morning that list came out and they weren't on it, and they would kill for that opportunity. And I'm not at a place of burnout. I think I'm 10 years older than I was. I'm 10 years in the industry. We've changed a lot. Our business model has changed, not the foundation, but just it's changed. We went through a pandemic that really just sucked a lot of the fun out for a long time. There was about a 3-year span there where it felt like all the fun part of being in the barbecue industry was gone, and now it was just work. And this is the first year that I think some of that fun stuff kind of feels like it's coming back. And I'm having to dig a little deeper to kind of catch the magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That original obsession and all that.
Then you couple in our Florida expansion that we did last summer when we opened. But I mean, we started working on that 2 years ago. Mallory and I looked at that space in July of 23. And it's sometimes I've just felt tired. I felt a little bit beat up from the Florida expansion. That has not gone perfect. It hasn't gone terrible, but it's not what I thought it was going to be. It hasn't been a success following the simple formula of take care of the product, take care of our employees, take care of our customers, and everything else will take care of itself. We've taken care of all three of those things, and we're still
not where you want it.
Still not bringing in the traffic that we need. We have excellent reviews online. We get excellent feedback in person and online. Like everything is there. The people that are coming enjoy it. It's taking a bit to break into that market there.
I've had to remind him, and I mean, he knows this too, but we didn't build Evie Mae's in Wolfforth overnight. We didn't open as a huge building on the corner of 179 and 6282. We started in a corn cart and we worked our way up, and it took years, and it took relationships, and it took sacrifice. And I feel like the groundwork is there. It's just, how long do we grind it out and until we can make it, you know?
Right.
You know, we transported 3 of our main employees out there. Like, they moved out there, picked up their lives, and they live in Florida now and run that restaurant. And, you know, we're back and forth.
Well, to that, the frustrations and stress of opening that and it not being what we hoped it would be from day one, that is financial. It's not, man, this place sucks. No, it's like, I don't know if we're going to be able to pay our Florida rent.
Gotcha.
I don't know if we're going to be able to, we got paychecks going out.
Yeah.
And this is,
can we cover them?
That is all that is. I mean, other than that, it's still an unbelievably exciting adventure. That's what it is. That's what Florida is it's an adventure, and it's doing something. We open a barbecue restaurant 1,000 miles away from home, and we are selling barbecue in a place that we have been vacationing in. And every time we're here, we're like, man, it'd be so cool to have a business here and like be able to do business in a place like this. We're doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the financial stressors of that, because I tell people this before, you know, when we were in the Elotes trailer, an unexpected $20 expense was that was a challenge. And then you move up a little bit, and $20 now it's $100. Oh man, we had to throw away, you know, 2 racks of ribs for whatever reason. Then it becomes $500, and then that challenge is $1,000. Now, I mean, Florida problems, those are $30,000 problems.
Yeah.
Those are not, but it's relative, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
you've been through this before. It was just at a different scale.
Just a different scale.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
So that is where Wolf Earth right now is really, we're in the midst of our best 18-month period we've ever had at this restaurant.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
And I'm having to be very careful not to let the kind of dejectedness of Florida interfere with how proud and how thankful and how happy we should be with things here, just because it's taken a toll on me as a person the last 12 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone obsessed with excellence. I can get that.
Yeah.
But Albert, go ahead.
What I'm getting from this interview is this like creating a business around your passion.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's exciting. And you feel this duty and this calling to like continue to pursue that, you know, cause you're uniquely gifted in that way. And there's this story that's, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs have this story of your med school season of life where you're burning the candle at both ends. You and your wife are doing all the things that aren't scalable, but it's because you're passionate about it, right?
Yeah.
And you care about every detail. You think of it, every detail from the customer's perspective of, you know, when they walk in, we're talking about, you know, how clean the bathrooms are and where that is, and how does the line function? How can we get people in and out quickly? How can we make sure the tea is fresh at all times? How can we keep flies from flying in the pickles? You know, like,
or ants biting my baby.
Exactly.
Yeah. and so much of this is that, like, we mention it all the time, Kellen, but it's like that unreasonable hospitality that you guys have created this culture in like our listeners, when we talk about scaling this, like he's this craftsman who's obsessed with every detail. And what that's done is create this culture where either you get it or you don't.
Yeah.
And they bring in 5 people and 3 are going to leave because those other 2, they get it, they want it, and they have like the ability to soar within that system. And that's like, it's hard to hear because that's hard. That's hard work, and it's not a magic pill. It's not an easy button, but that's like what real entrepreneurship looks like. Is like you guys are very passionate about it. You care about it. You care about your people. You know, you have your business here is having one of the best years yet, and like you're up at night. You're worrying about your people there
Mm-hmm.
because you care, because you're an entrepreneur, because that's how you're wired. And I think it's important to like hear this story because so many people like are passionate about something like, oh, you're really good at woodworking, you're really good at building tables, you should make a business out of that. And I think counting the cost is important, but then like hearing the success stories of, you know, you guys have done this for 13 years and now it's like, now you have to decide when is enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now you're in Texas monthly and you've got a store 1,000 miles away. And
Right.
your whole story to me is like a parable. It's kind of like all these different phases. There's been so many lessons embedded. And I kind of liked how this interview has gone because we've kind of pulled them out along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's just so much in what you've gone through. What were you going to say, Mallory?
I was just going to say it really has been interesting. And from the beginning, when everything sort of took off, Arnis and I have just kind of tried to be good stewards of what is happening by the people that work with us to everybody's experience when they walk in the door. But scaling, you know, we haven't touched on United, but whenever we did our little United project, which was great, but it didn't work out ultimately. And we ended up ending that relationship. But we learned so much from it. And, you know, it's really hard because we're in the days of social media and everybody's a business expert.
And a barbecue
expert. But it's really hard because when you see as an entrepreneur and a business owner and a mom and a wife, and you see the stuff on social media about, you know, bad things about why United didn't work out. And it's hard. You have to kind of separate yourself and be like, you know what, those lessons that we learned, we know. Nobody else really understands.
Unless they were there, unless they were in the room,
but
unless they were
right. But even fast forwarding to Florida, I don't know what this looks like. I don't know what the next year looks like for our restaurant in Florida. What I do know is the lessons we have learned by his just going all in, because that's just how his personality is. It's like, it's not in 6 months. It's not in a year, it's tomorrow. Like, we are doing this now because if we don't, we'll never know. We have this opportunity. We've got to jump. We've got to do it. We have learned so many personal lessons. I mean, I think that our marriage is probably stronger because of the challenges we have faced in Florida. I think our empathy and the way we are with our employees, even our customers, I have always appreciated Lubbock and Wolforth and our restaurant here. Like, it's incredible. And I still, like, on a Saturday when I open the door and there's 200 people in line, like, I am like sick to my stomach, and I've been doing it for 10 years. Mm-hmm. But I have never been more appreciative and thankful for our business here and these people here and just kind of what has happened here.
And these people checking on us. And they're like, how are y'all doing? I heard Florida's struggling a little bit, or how's Florida doing?
Yeah, like, it's just, and I know like people that listen to this podcast are probably all over, but just a little like nod to the people of West Texas. Like, this is a pretty incredible place.
Yeah.
And we are now operating a business in Florida, and there's wonderful people out there too, but it is different.
It's different.
Yeah. It's a much different animal. And I can say that if Florida doesn't work out in the future, I will be so proud of what we did and the food that we made and the customer experiences that happened and the relationships that we built and the lessons we learned, that we get to come back to Lubbock and Wolforth and feel the, what's the word I'm looking for? Just feel so grateful. And so,
I mean, after going through Florida and the challenges that I personally faced and the stress and the worry and the concern, coming home and seeing regular customers, it was like coming home after your first semester of college and like seeing your family, seeing your friends, sitting in your living room and feeling again for just a second like everything's going to be okay. I'm home.
Yeah. That's the beauty of West Texas and the people here. It's like that's what keeps you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think we are out of time. Let's do our abbreviated fire round. I sent these to you guys right before this, and would love, aside from Evie Mae's, because obviously Evie Mae's is the best, but I travel all around Texas all the time for work. What's your number one other favorite barbecue restaurant in Texas?
I think we have different ones.
And my personal favorite experience is Snows.
Oh,
No, I mean,
while she's still doing it. Okay.
great food. The very first time I went to Snows, it was the Saturday before our first Texas Monthly Barbecue Festival.
Where is Snows?
Snows is Lexington.
Okay.
East of Austin, about 40 minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
Saturdays only, basically outdoor everything. But it was just, that is the barbecue memory that I feel like that was special. I met a lot of people in the industry that day that I had only read about. And here I am hanging out like behind the scenes at Snows.
That's epic.
Yeah.
That's
no,
epic.
it is. It's cool. And that's another thing. It could be a whole nother conversation about just the relationships in Texas barbecue and the people. And, you know, people from the outside looking in, I think, are like, well, they're better than them and they're better than them. Well, they don't know we're actually texting each other, like
Yeah, like
laughing
we're friends.
about we're all friends, right?
And they're competitive with each other.
They're all different. So
Everybody's different.
It's hard. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your
My favorite is Leroy and Lewis for sure. And
Where's that
Austin.
at? Okay.
Austin.
I
Have you been there?
have.
Okay,
I have.
so they started in a food truck.
Yes. Yeah. I just
Yeah.
had it the other day. It was great.
And they
It was
just got a
almost,
Michelin star.
Yeah, they
It
just
was-
got a Michelin
It
star.
was almost like a Hispanic take on
They
on
have
barbecue.
some. They do some different chefy things, and it's a much different style of barbecue than like even we cook. But it's the single best barbecue meal I've ever had in my life, and they're wonderful people and work really hard. Have their own style.
and they have they list all the ranches that they
Yes,
get all
so
the
they are
meat
very
from.
sustainable, like
Yeah.
ranch to plate.
Very cool.
It is very cool. They only do brisket on Saturdays. Beef cheeks are like their daily red meat option. It's beef cheeks because that's a more sustainable thing that they
Okay.
can get. And anyways, I love Snows too. Snows is a hard experience to beat.
All right. I've got one question. What's the number one mistake the home hero, electric smoker chef is doing wrong? What can he do to make his cooks better?
In a short one sentence, what is one thing that the at home guy is doing?
They
wrong?
run out of time. They run out of time before it's finished. And you have to let a brisket finish. And when your friends and family and your wife are like, hey, I thought we were eating at 6. Where's the brisket?
It's like, it's not ready.
Yeah. And
You
that's
get
it.
the
But
hot dogs out.
that's hard to say whenever everybody's waiting on you.
Uh-huh.
So give yourself enough time. I mean, you can rest a brisket in the oven in a cooler for 4 or 5 hours. So better to plan to be done way early and make sure it's ready and has the opportunity to be great than to know whenever you're taking it off, well, this isn't done, but everybody wants to eat. And then you're like, I wasted all that time leading up to that. I mean, I wasted the money and I wasted all that time. And now everybody's probably like, that wasn't very good food.
All right. Getting up at 3 a.m. Gonna get going.
All right. How can we send people your way? Where do they find y'all?
So we are on the southwest corner of FM 179 and 6282 in Wolford, across from the Casey Administration Building. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We have a website. We have a phone.
People can find you
They can find us.
Evie Mae's Barbecue.
in Texas Monthly soon, too.
Yes.
Very, very cool. Man, guys, I really appreciate you guys coming
No,
on.
thank you guys. It was fun.
Hearing y'all's story, that just makes it that much more rich, getting to enjoy your food. So thank you guys so much.
Thank y'all.
It's a good story. Like, I mean, it's kind of out there, but it's kind of surprising that we've made it this far, and it does make for a good story.
I love
Definitely.
it. I love it. All right. I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you enjoyed that and you want more where that came from, go ahead and click subscribe and keep coming back. And if you are a business owner and you feel stuck in your business, that you feel that you can't work on your business to make it more healthy, more sustainable, and a better business, go to our website, stagcoaching.com, and click in the upper right-hand corner to book your free consultation where we can help you figure out the next 3 steps to get your business unstuck and growing further. So thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.